Welcome to another exciting episode of Grammar with Miss Rose. Yeah. On today's episode, you are going to get a thorough review of the 4 different types of phrases that we should have already studied if you are in my 8th grade English class. If you're not and you're just here to figure out some stuff about grammar, come along on this fascinating journey with me. Yay! All right, so if we're going to review the 4 types of phrases, it's really important that we think about the difference between a phrase and a clause. One of the most often missed things that I notice students do is they mistake clauses for phrases or vice versa, and then they get their question wrong. So hopefully you do remember that a phrase is a group of words. Whoa, that's way too big. Let's try that. A phrase is a group of words, but there is one thing that is specific about that group of words, and there is no subject or no verb inside that group of words. So, for example, Miss Rose, or a lovely lady, or going crazy. In these cases, I either have a subject and no verb, or I have a verb with something that's happening, a noun, but no subject. So that right there is a phrase compared to a clause, which is also a group of words. But in this case, it is a complete thought. And the difference here is that a complete thought must have a subject and a verb. So, Miss Rose dances. Subject and verb. Or, what did I use in my last example? Oh, a lovely lady is going crazy. If I added that is right there, that would make it a clause. However, I'm going to undo so that when you take a picture later, if you're going to do that, that's not there. So now that we've thought about the difference between a phrase and a clause, meaning a full group of words with a complete thought or not, we're going to take that and apply it to these 4 different types. So our 4 types, as you hopefully remember, are appositives, prepositions, gerund, and infinitive phrases. I'm going to start up here in the top box with appositives. Appositive phrases describe a noun. That is their sole function. So therefore, if we apply that to the definition of a phrase, it's a group of words which describes a noun. So, in the case of my example here, I have Miss Rose, your favorite teacher, loves you. Your favorite teacher is a group of words that further describes Miss Rose. It is as easy as that. I found that appositives are generally pretty strong for students once they learn to recognize them. However, what trips students up is that there are multiple places an appositive can go in a sentence. In fact, we can have a sentence that looks something like blah, appositive, blah. Or we can have something that says appositive, blah, and the sentence might go on from there, or blah, appositive. But wait, actually, blah, meaning the sentence happens, and then, capitals, Miss Rose, a positive, period, meaning that this appositive can be describing either the thing it comes before or the thing it comes after. This appositive is describing the thing that comes after it. this appositive would be describing the thing that comes right before it. But the most important piece here that I want to point your attention to is this idea right here of these commas. These are what I'm going to refer to for this lesson here as separation commas, meaning you'll notice that they separate the appositive from the rest of the sentence. Same thing here, it's on its own, and if the appositive's at the end, that comma is also separating it. So those separation commas are what tell me an appositive is there and correctly provided grammar in the sentence. That's a terrible way to say this thing, Miss Rose, but whatever. Separation commas. Exclamation point. Those are so exciting. And that right there is basically all you need to know about an appositive phrase. Moving right along, though, we'll talk about the one from the longest ago, prepositional phrases. Now, prepositional phrases or prep phrases were studied for us earlier in the year, so you may have forgotten these. So it's a really good one to pay attention to for your review. I'm going to choose a new color for this one. So prepositional phrases essentially show where, when, and, or the way a thing is done. So there's three different pieces there. And so essentially they're further descriptors. These types of phrases are all useful for descriptive language. So in order to do my best to show you these, I'm going to try to show you an example of each one. Remember, prepositions are the small words that create these phrases, and the full prepositional phrase is the whole thing. So through the window is a prepositional phrase that shows where something occurs, through the window. And through is our preposition, whereas through the window is our prepositional phrase. So I'm just going to mark that for us. I'll write preposition in yellow. And now, go back to my other color. I'm going to write prep phrase in orange. So I'm going to continue to use this method here through the rest. All right. So now for when, it's the same thing. It's telling me time. So common ones for this are like after, for after, school, or outside the classroom. And as I have just mentioned, these are our prepositions, but our full prep phrases are the entire phrase. The final one is a prepositional phrase which shows the way something is done. These are a little bit harder to think of because the way something is done is kind of vague. So let me just show you, and it's easier to see. A prepositional phrase that shows the way thing is done might be something like by car. If you go by car or via car, or if you go to class without speaking. These are prepositional phrases because we have by and without prepositions used to show the way something is done, the full prepositional phrase. So, well, I gave 2 examples for the other one, so I guess I might as well give 2 examples over here too. What about like around the tree? We have the prep and the full phrase. Sweet. Well, those turned out a little smaller than I thought they would, but oh well. I wonder if I can fix that. Pause. Okay, welcome back. That took a lot more effort behind the scenes than I am possibly prepared to tell you about. So as far as these when, where, and how things are done, I am going to just change my colors up because I want to show you what each one of these looks like in my example here. I have Miss Rose loves you before school, during summer, at home, and with intensity. So this here, this where, would be where, well, I love you with, oh, no, wait, that's a when. Silly. Where, I love you at home. When, before school, and during summer. Those are both prepositional phrases. And I need one more color. Let's do gray. The way a thing is done, well, with intensity. That is how I love you. So you'll notice that if I change, or if I take all of these prepositions away and cross them out of the sentence, I am left with the subject, a verb, and an object of a verb. Miss Rose loves you. So prepositions are actually, like all different types of phrases, can be crossed out of sentences and the sentence will still make sense. This is true of every type of phrase, but it's very obvious in prepositional phrases. The next type of phrase I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom. Let's do infinitive phrases. Will work clockwise. So infinitive phrases are let's zoom in a little bit more here. These are the to blah form of the verb. That's verb, Miss Rose. Verb and all modifiers. So this is again the difference between an infinitive versus an infinitive phrase. Well, the infinitive phrase would include all the different things that modify the phrase. So let's see. Let's take some sort of example, such as, well, we're going to do two examples. One here, to smash versus to smash this flower. Why am I smashing flowers? I don't know. Just follow me. So then the to form of the verb, the infinitive, is to smash versus the to form of the verb and all of its modifiers, or the phrase, is to smash this flower. It's the full thing. So if we look at that in terms of our example here, I have Miss Rose's favorite thing is to love you. So therefore, I have to love and to love you, the infinitive and the infinitive phrase. In this case, you'll notice that the thing is this. So these are, I'm going to wait until I do gerunds, and then when I do that, it'll actually be a little bit easier to explain this point. So moving right along instead, let's zoom out and zoom in on gerunds and start those. So gerunds are the ing form of every verb. So the answer is you have in fact been using infinitives and gerunds your whole life without even knowing. G form of verb and all modifiers. Modifiers. And as you probably know by now, that's not a highlighter. The ing form of the verb would be the actual gerund, but the ing form of the verb and its modifiers is the full gerund phrase. So this is where I'm going to explain my big point here. So I'm going to use a different color, and I'm going to say the thing about a gerund is that these all function as nouns and subjects of sentences. What the heck does that mean, Miss Rose? Well, if I gave you an example sentence such as, I'll go back to my real color. Jamming more clothes in the washing machine is bad for the motor. Is that how you spell motor? That's not how you spell motor. Pause. Figured it out. Guys, dyslexia is real. Motor has 2 O's. Did you know that? Anyway, so we have jamming more clothes in the washing machine is bad for the motor. Jamming, I see my ing verb, and then everything that comes after it is my phrase that is a part of its modifying. So what is jamming the washing machine? Well, jamming more clothes in the washing machine is bad for the motor. Aha. So my point is that jamming more clothes in the washing machine functions as the subject of this sentence. I could substitute that with babies. Babies are bad for the motor. Water is bad for the motor. Puppies are bad for the motor. Puppies are bad for nothing, Miss Rose, you're crazy. But I could substitute this section with a subject, and then to show you that as a noun, over here, I have Miss Rose is loving you right now. Well, I also have loving, I notice it, and then I have loving you. Okay, well, Miss Rose is what? Loving you right now. Miss Rose is a teacher. Miss Rose is a person. Miss Rose is a thing. It's acting as a noun. So, in this case, and I'll take my arrow. Well, that's not the right arrow. I'll take my arrow all the way over so that you remember. These gerunds can function sort of in the place of a noun or subject of a sentence. And the same thing happens over here in infinitives. These also function as nouns and subjects of sentences. For example, in to smash this flower, depending on where it was in the sentence, changes it. What if I was to zoom in and say, to smash this flower is my favorite? Which means I need to capitalize this now. And then said Hulk. To smash this flower is my favorite, said Hulk. Well, when we have this full phrase here acting as the subject of to smash this flower is my favorite. So there it is acting as a subject. And over here is Miss Rose's favorite thing is to love you. I could turn that around to love you is Miss Rose's favorite thing. So this right here, I'm going to use my correct color. This right here can function as a noun, or I could turn it around and put Miss Rose there, and it would function as the subject if that was more your jam to say to love you is Miss Rose's favorite thing. Miss Rose, why would I ever speak like that? Well, maybe you wanted some variety to your sentences, or create a certain mood or tone. Turning away changing up the way you speak is how we establish tone in our writing. So by using some more gerunds and infinitives and using them as subjects and nouns, you can create some variety in your writing. So there you have it. We have 4 different types of phrases, and there's even some bonus phrases in here. For example, if I look over here at my Miss Rose is loving you right now example, I notice a prepositional phrase right now, which is telling me when. Yep, there's more prepositions everywhere. So, and if I described Miss Rose, there would be further prepositions in those sentences. Gosh, there's even another one here in bad, for the motor. Well, it's saying the way something is done, like what about it is weird? Well, or what about it for the motor? That's also a prepositional phrase. So these phrases are what really create variety in our sentences. I hope that this review really helps you. If it helps to zoom in so that you can take a picture, here's prepositional and infinitive. Whoa. Here, whoa. Hey, here's a positive and gerund. I'm Miss Rose. This has been Grammar with Miss Rose.